Yo, I believe I am live right now. For the first football video of the year, we're starting with the Big Ten, which happens to be my favorite conference. I don't really have a favorite college team, but Big Ten, I'd say, is probably my favorite conference. So that's what we're going to start with. We are live broadcasting, as it looks like. Too early to tell. I'm winning Baltimore and I'm winning Tampa Bay. So it looks like I'm going on the pace for a losing night in MLB. But my biggest bets are actually in the late games, so we'll wait on that. It's too early to judge. I don't really, I've never done a video like this before. I don't really have a format. So what I was going to do is just put it up to the comments. Yo, just shout out a Big Ten team you want us to start with. And the first comment in there, that's the team I'll start with. I'm not going in any particular order. But I do have a pick for every single team as far as over-under win totals. So, God damn it, man. The Reds. Killing me, Reds. So, it's delayed. I'm waiting for the comments here. By the way, whether or not I keep doing these is going to depend on how many people... There we go, Ohio State. How many people are into it? If only like 25 people are in here, I'm probably not going to do this again. It's hard to get your notes ready to broadcast and like have them organized to just speak live. I have my notes ready to start capping football games, but there's no pressure. It's not like I'm on the air and I have to have them accessible. It's harder to prepare them for this kind of thing. So let's start with Ohio State. Why not? All right, so before we get into the schedule here, let's go over some notes. I mean, everyone pretty much knows all this stuff. That loss against Oregon to start the season last year was rough. I really seriously doubt they make that same mistake again this year against Notre Dame. Last year they had a new quarterback. C.J. Stroud, poised to be one of the best in college football. I actually saw that guy, Phil Steele, who does the college football, he does off-season analysis, and he has C.J. Stroud ranked as number one above Bryce from Alabama. So C.J. Stroud definitely highly touted this year. This is scary. Ready for this? So the Buckeyes had the best offense in football analytically last year. The Buckeyes are 25th in the country in returning production this year. They're first in the Big Ten. So this team that was already completely loaded is now bringing back a ton of talent here on the on both sides of the ball. Actually, here, I'll pull it up right here. Returning production, Ohio State. All right, they're 24th in returning production. They returned 76% of their production on both sides of the ball. They're 53rd on the offensive end because they did lose Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave. They also lost a tackle, but on defense, 13th in the entire country, first in the Big Ten. They returned 82% of their defensive production. Ohio State. So you gotta love that. The number one most efficient offense returns to their quarterback, running back, and best receiver. Yeah, I don't care about Olave and Garrett Wilson Jr. Smith and Jigba is the best. I think he's the best receiver in college football. He's an absolute savage. So, yeah, just going by, this is just the most insane rankings. This is a crazy team to start on because the numbers are just out of this world. Their wide receiver core is ranked second in the country to USC. Running back, second in Texas, only to Texas, and that's because they have Bijan Robinson, who's like the next Adrian Peterson. Quarterbacks, they're, like I said, Phil Steele, Malcolm Radham ranked first, above Bryce Young, third in offensive line. I mean, they're top three in all four offensive categories in the country, not in the Big Ten, in the country. The question is there any weakness? Their defense was ranked number 42 in efficiency last year, and obviously, with a normal team, that's like, okay, 42 in the country out of 130, that's not bad. But with Ohio State, that's a disappointing number. You expect them to be in the top 25 in everything, so that's obviously an area they need to improve in, but they bring in the defensive coordinator they bring in Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator from Oklahoma State last year. Do you remember Oklahoma State's defense? They were insane. They bring in that guy and return 82% of their production on the defensive side of the ball. I think Ohio State defense has got a shot to be top 3, top 5 in the country as well. It really is crazy how good this team is. If Jim Knowles was able to do that with the Oklahoma State talent level, imagine what he's able to do with a 82% returning Ohio State class. Man. So notable games here. Let's take a look at the schedule now. So obviously we're gonna start them off. Win against Notre Dame. We'll go win against Arkansas State, Toledo. This is a notable game, so I'll leave it blank for now. The one against Wisconsin, but we're gonna win against Rutgers. I'm leaving. Where's my? There we go. Sorry about that. Win against Michigan State. I put that down as a notable game. Let's leave it blank. Just even though they're not going to lose that game, they're 14.5-point favorites or something against Michigan State. Win. And we'll leave Michigan blank too. So their win total is set at 11. Right off the bat, they already have 9 wins that are just givens. So the question is, are they going to win 2 out of these 3 games, which is at Michigan State, home against Wisconsin, home against Michigan? And the answer is, of course they are. They're not going to lose to Michigan back-to-back years this year at home. I don't think they even lose to Michigan last year if that game wasn't played in snow. So we'll give them a win for Michigan. I'm not going to lie. I have them sweeping. I took over 11 wins. Let's see. I'll have a spot. Let's get a spot where I can type them. Taking over 11 wins. Yeah, it sucks that it's at minus 130. But there's no way. When you're giving me Ohio State with this schedule right here, and you're telling me that I can lose a game and still push, like if the bet was Ohio State to go undefeated, I'd be leaning yes. So the fact that I can lose a game and still push here is just a gift to me. All over the over on Ohio State. Now let's go to the comments. Sorry. Yeah, the offense only has 6 starters. Yeah, but Toast, they're huge starters. All right, cool. Looks like everyone was following in the comments. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, Travion Henderson, Toast. Oh my God, that dude is a literal bolt of lightning. There was this one play last year in the, I want to say the Michigan State game where he caught a ball in the backfield. I know the highlight exactly in my head. It was insane. Beaver wants to move to Northwestern next, so let's move on to Northwestern. Hold on, let's get rid of this over 11 because that's certainly not the case with Northwestern. All right, Northwestern is next. All right. All right, so wow, this is bad. It's ugly for AJ's squad out there. He's a big Northwestern guy. Bad news for the Wildcats. Northwestern is 130th dead last in the country in returning production. Not much coming back on either side of the ball. Their offense was 118th in the country last year in efficiency. 118th for a Power 5 school. That's humiliating. One thing I will say about the Wildcat offense is they averaged 19.4 points. 19.4 yards per point last year. And if you're unfamiliar with that metric, it's a good indication of telling you who. It's kind of like it shows you who was a little bit lucky. If a team's racking up yards and not scoring, yeah, it could be poor third down percentage, poor red zone percentage, turnovers, bad luck. It could be a bunch of things, but it usually means that the offense was slightly better than their point total should have showed. And at 19.4, it's very it's at 19.4. It's third in the entire country, Northwestern. So although their offense was abysmal, 118th, inexcusable, I think that number shows that they were a little better, at least than they showed. They do have a weapon on offense. His name's Evan Hull. I really think he's going to have a good season. He's certainly going to get a lot of looks. He kind of is the Christian McCaffrey to the Northwestern offense. The whole thing runs through him. He catches it out of the backfield. He does all kinds of stuff. He's their best player on offense, in my opinion, at least. They do get their senior inside linebacker back, Chris Bergen. Not only did he lead the team with 132 tackles and 84 solo tackles, but he also led the entire Big Ten. So, let's go to the schedule here. All right. Nebraska is a loss. I'm sorry, Northwestern. I'll give you a win against Duke. So we're off to a 1-2 start. I'll give you a win against Southern Illinois, too. Miami of Ohio. That is a toss-up. Don't sleep on the Red Hawks, man. I know they did lose their quarterback, though. Wow, who was the quarterback of Miami, Ohio last year? I think he was in the draft. Let's see real quick. Miami, Ohio stats, please. Brett Gabbert, that's right. And I think he's still there, actually. Just shows you that I didn't do the MAC stuff yet. Brett Gabbert is still there. So they're bringing back Brett Gabbert and a passing game that was pretty good last year. I didn't do that deep of a dive into the MAC yet, but that's not a gimme, this home game against Miami of Ohio. So I'm going to skip it. And, yeah, they get a loss against Penn State. No, not a loss there. They get a loss against Penn State. There we go. They get a loss against Wisconsin. And they definitely get a loss against Maryland. I think is a very underrated team. Loss against Iowa. Loss against Ohio State. Loss at Minnesota. Loss at Purdue. And so we'll leave the last one blank. So this is my opinion what we're looking at with Northwestern here. Can you guys see this, by the way? Yeah, I don't know. There's only 32 people in here, so maybe they can't. Hopefully it's not too small on the screen. So, in my opinion, this is what we're looking at for Northwestern with two hanger games. Miami, Ohio, and Illinois, both at home. So, yeah, they're both winnable, but at the same time, they need to win both of them just to push. So, in my opinion, the play here is the under, and I'll put it right here. It's another one where I'm laying some juice, minus 120, whatever. I need to win both those games just to push. In order to win this bet, I'm going to need Northwestern to beat... Which game? Which game in there do you see winning? Home against Nebraska? Nebraska should be kind of nice. No, definitely not seeing it. I like this under a lot. This has a chance of making my top 10 college football future bets one. I definitely like this one. Next Big Ten team, please. Yo, that's funny. Like, Duke sucks. They were so bad last year, but it's funny to joke that they actually might have a shot against Northwestern. But you know what? I like Pat Fitzgerald. So I don't want to. I do respect him. So sometimes in college football, a good coach can just like will you into a couple wins. I just don't think they have the talent to do it. They also keep their defensive coordinator, Jim O'Neill, who's been very good over the years. All right, next Big Ten team, please. Maryland, the Terps. Where are the Terps? Terps, right here. All right. Maryland is next, and this, I think, has a chance to be one of the most explosive offenses in football this year. They're bringing back, obviously, Tua's brother is back. Let's scroll down to my Maryland notes. So, obviously, Tua's brother is back, Talia Tagovailoa. He's got both receivers back. Rakim Jarrett is coming off a monster year. And then if you don't remember, before he got hurt, Dante Demas Jr. was looking like Terrell Owens out there. He's an absolute monster, 6'4", 220. Before he got hurt and missed the rest of the season, this dude was just racking up numbers. He's back too, as a senior. So, you got a good developing quarterback coming back. You got two badass receivers coming back for Maryland. And then to take it even deeper, this team returns its entire starting offensive line. So you got potentially more time in... Is that a home run? No, at the warning track for the Yankees. So you got potentially more time in the pocket with a quarterback who's 1 year more experienced and two experienced badass receivers. I'm telling you, this team could put up points this year. But let's talk defense, because this is where the story becomes a sad one. Their defense last year was absolutely awful. They allowed 38.8 points per game in conference play. Yo, Imagine allowing 40 points a game against the Big Ten West. Yo, the Big Ten West is Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska. Run first, defense first teams. You don't allow 40 points a game in that conference. That's just crazy. They allowed 45 touchdowns in their 9 Big Ten games last year. Holy hell. Do you want to know how many, just for reference, do you want to know how many touchdowns Wisconsin allowed in their 9 Big Ten games? 16. Maryland allowed 45. The good news for the Maryland defense is I think it has nowhere to go but up. You can't possibly play worse than you did last year. So despite losing 61% of their production on defense from last year, I still think they have the potential to be better just because I don't see how they could be any worse, if that makes sense. Let's take a look at the schedule here. Notable games for Maryland would be... Damn it. I just minimized the window. Michigan State, Purdue, Penn State is what I wrote down, so let's look at these games here. All right, so... at Boston College is tough, by the way. That's not the easiest opener. We'll leave that one blank. Give them a win against Wagner. Win against Temple. Home against Iowa. I'm going to leave blank. I think they could win, though. So, that's a loss against Ohio State. Then Nebraska, that's a loss. Home against Indiana is definitely a win. At Minnesota is a loss. For sure. Home against Michigan is a loss, unfortunately. At Michigan State, also a loss. So here's where we're at. Home against Penn State, I will leave blank. And then, oh my God, this is the wrong freaking schedule. Oh my God. This is Rutgers schedule. I was going to say, why are my dates not lining up? I thought I made a mistake. Holy shit. Okay. Here's Maryland's schedule. All right, so let's go back and do this. Win, yes. So this SMU game, I'll mark it down as a win, even though SMU is a little bit underrated, to be honest. But let's go. Let's get rid of all these things because we're starting over here. Damn, this is annoying. All right, so I have Maryland starting off 3-0 here. I'm going to give them the win against SMU. Yeah, they'll lose to Michigan. Yeah, they'll probably lose to Michigan State, even though that game is at home and I think it'd be interesting. Purdue is a hanger game. I'll leave it blank. They do beat Indiana. So here's where we're at now. They beat Northwestern at home because everyone beats Northwestern at home. Then they lose to Wisconsin. They lose at Penn State. They lose to Ohio State. And then they beat Rutgers. So here's where we are, right here with Maryland, right? This is 6 wins, and I wasn't even generous to give them this 6 wins. These 6 wins here. I think they win these 6 games comfortably. Purdue is the game that's a little bit... They both play a pass-first, high-energy offense, so it should be a good game. The fact that it's home is why I think Maryland has a shot. I do think Purdue wins it. But either way... Oh, my God. This thing says under. Either way, how are we not looking at the over here for Maryland if we're already at 6 wins before we even attempt to tackle the Purdue game? To me, at 6 games, we're looking at a push or better. Because, I mean, I don't see them losing any of these 6 that I listed. The only one on the road at Indiana should be bad. So I think we're at push or better right here. And that's why I'm playing the over for Maryland. Let's check out. Yeah, I'm just reading the comments now. People laughing. Yeah. See, that's what happens when you prepare for a live in like an hour and a half. I decided I wanted to have the schedules on the screen while I talk like 90 minutes ago. So it was a scramble, like setting it all up. So yeah, I'm on the over for Maryland. I do think 6 wins is a strong possibility. But I think 7 is far more likely than 5. So I'll play the over, and it's at plus money. We get it even plus 100. So, who's next in the Big Ten? Yeah, Toast. I mean, I'm not surprised that they're a small favorite. If they're a 1-point favorite at home, that means most likely on a neutral field, it's Purdue -1.5 to Purdue -2. So yeah, that makes about sense. I think Purdue's about 3 points better than Maryland, but the fact that it's played in Maryland, I think that game's like a complete coin flip. But either way, 6 wins without that. So next Big Ten team, please. Did my comments cut off, or is just no one give a shit? Let's talk Purdue, Toast says. Let's talk Purdue. All right, Purdue it is. I can't put in gum because I'm the only one on the goddamn show. I have to talk the whole time. Purdue's weird, man. I thought when that last season ended, I was all over Purdue. I was like, yo, this team's going to win the Big Ten West next year. The more research I did, the more I am just lower, and my expectations for Purdue continue to just fall and fall. I love Aiden O'Connell. I love their quarterback. As soon as he took over last year, that offense just transformed into a complete pass-happy offense, and they kind of were before with, I forget his name, Jake Plummer's kid. They were a little bit of a pass-happy offense before that, but when O'Connell took over, this team became like a 40-point a Saturday team. It was really cool to watch. It was cool to watch not because Aiden O'Connell was slinging the ball around, but also you don't see many elite passing games out of the Big Ten West. I mean, when's the last time an NFL quarterback came out of the Big Ten West? Drew Brees at Purdue, right? I mean, seriously, it's been a while. There's just not many pass electric offenses in the Big Ten West. So Purdue has that now. They're slinging the ball. Another thing I like about their defense, 10 of 11 of their projected starters this year are seniors. But they lost their best defender by far. Chiefs took him in the first round. That pass rusher, I actually forget his name. He was their edge rusher. Shit. His name starts with a K. I forget it. But he was the Purdue pass rusher. Chiefs drafted him in the first round. Also, their leading tackler on defense, Jalen Alexander, had 113 tackles. The next closest was 76. This is their leading tackler by far. He's also gone. Some concerns I have for Purdue is their run game. Purdue was dead last in the Big Ten last year, 2.6 yards per carry in conference play. Yeah, the Big Ten defenses are tough to run on, for sure, but 2.6 yards per carry is just unacceptable. I don't care how good your passing game is. It's just not going to work if you're averaging 2.6 yards a clip. Their two best receivers are gone. David Bell plays for the Cleveland Browns. Milton Wright is no longer even with the school anymore. Academic ineligibility is what I read. Those two guys combined for 2,000 receiving yards last year, gone. So with all their losses, I am not nearly as big on Purdue as I was at the end of last year. So let's take a look at the schedule. Let's leave Penn State week 1 blank. Now, obviously, they're going to beat Indiana State. I'll give them a win. Where the hell? I'll give them a win over Syracuse. Definitely give them a win over Florida Atlantic. And now here's where things get ugly. A loss to Minnesota. At Minnesota, that's a loss. At Maryland, that's the game. We're going to leave that blank because we left it blank there. Home versus Nebraska. Leave that one blank too. That's a tough one. At Wisconsin is a loss. Home versus Iowa, I think, is a win. I am not big on Iowa at all this year. We'll get to them in a second. At Illinois should be another win. Home against Northwestern, yeah, you guessed it, that's a win. And at Indiana, yeah, that's another win. So we're already at 7 wins. The 3 games remaining, home against Penn State, at Maryland, home against Nebraska. You mean to tell me to hit the over, all I need is Purdue to steal one of these 3 games? I'm not going to lie. I think I think they lose to Nebraska. You know what? Just to make things a little more clear, I really like Nebraska this year. So let's give them a loss to Nebraska. But even still, I think they have a chance to win both those games. I think they can beat Penn State at home, and they definitely can beat Maryland. So I think they take one of those two, and we're going to give them the over. We are going over at plus 110. Nice plus money one there. Wish I like Aiden O'Connell a lot. I would love to see Purdue run the table with the Big Ten West. I'd love to see it. I just don't think they have the tools to do so. Oh, that's right, Russell Wilson. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, I hate Russell Wilson. And also, when I think Russell Wilson, I still think NC State a little bit. So anyway, let's clear that out. Next Big Ten team, please. Or I could just pick one at random. I probably should just pick one at random. Next, I have Iowa. Let's go Iowa next. You just heard me say I'm not big on them this year. And I will tell you why right now. So, Iowa's actually returning a decent amount of production, specifically on the offensive side. 16th in the country, returning 84% of their production on offense. That's awesome. They're returning most of their offense back. They're second in returning production to the Big Ten, second only to Ohio State. Here's the kicker with Iowa. They had a great record last year. They forced 30 turnovers. I mean, at some point, when it comes to turnovers, yeah, you can make plays, but when you're talking about deflected interceptions, fumbles, there's a little bit of luck involved with turnovers. A little bit. I'm not taking away from a defender that makes a great play, forces a turnover, or great coaching, great defensive play calling. Of course, they're factors, but there is definitely some luck involved in the turnover battle as a whole. 30 they forced last year. Ready? It gets even better. Iowa last year, 7-1 in games decided by 10 points or less. In games decided by 10 points or less, they're 7-1, 4-1 in one possession games. This team had a lot of things go their way, a lot of fortunate bounces. I'm not going to use the word luck, but you know I'm thinking it. This offense is just abysmal. I don't care how much of it is returning, because Kirk Ferentz' son, Brian Ferentz, is still the offensive coordinator. He's still the OC. I have zero faith in him. I'm sure there's some nepotism involved, although I don't know the family. I don't want to accuse them of anything, but this dude is the OC there. His dad's the head coach, and the offense sucks year after year. So at what point do we start to question it? This is a team that's led by their offensive line year after year. They just lost their captain, Tyler Linderbaum. I forget, he's a center. I forget who even drafted him, to be honest. Pretty sure he went first round, though. This year's offensive line features 4 starting sophomores. Tyler Goodson is gone. He's running for the Packers. He'll be their third string back behind Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. It's not about losing his talent, because Tyler Goodson was all right. It's about losing his experience. Dude's been the primary ball carrier at Iowa for like 3-4 years now, it seems like. Probably 3 years. Neither of the two guys, Gavin Williams and LaShawn Williams, are going to be two Williamses. Gavin Williams and LaShawn Williams, they'll be taking over the rushing for Iowa. Neither of them even had a rushing touchdown last year. They have 90 career carries combined between the two of them. The team needs to run through its tight end, Sam Laporta, projected to be a second-round pick. Iowa only had 2,500 yards and 12 passing touchdowns. 2,500 passing yards and 12 passing touchdowns last year. Sam Laporta had 670 and 3 of those. So dude is responsible for 25% of the offensive, from the 25% of the passing offense goes through Sam Laporta, their tight end. Yeah, team's led by their defense, but what happened to the defense in the second half of the year? In the last 8 games of the year, Iowa held their opponents to under 20 points just once, and it was Northwestern. So I don't even trust this defense either. Let's take a look at this Iowa schedule. This bullshit Iowa schedule. All right, so yeah, I'll give them a win against South Dakota State. Congrats. After that, I'm leaving Iowa State blank because I honestly think they could lose that. I have them beating Nevada. They'll beat Rutgers. Let's give them those two. They will lose to Michigan. They'll beat Illinois. Update that. They'll lose to Ohio State. They'll beat Northwestern. There we go. At Purdue, I'll leave blank. Then they'll lose to Wisconsin. Lose to Minnesota. And beat Nebraska. So that's where we're at right now. Iowa's at 7.5 wins. And I have them right here at 6 with home versus Iowa State and at Purdue. I think there's a chance they lose both those games. And in order to hit their over, they need to win both. Not happening. 100% on the Iowa under 7.5 wins at -115. Not big on the Hawkeyes. I don't trust Spencer Petras at all. He's coming back. Oh, wait. You know what? Hold on 1 sec. I'm pretty sure Spencer Petras is in a quarterback battle right now. No, he's listed as a starter still. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't trust Spencer Petras at all. I don't trust Brian Ferenc. Don't trust anything about the Iowa offense. The defense should be okay, but it's not enough. Under. All right. Where you want to go next? Anyone? Nope. All right, I'll pick another one at random. Next up, Wisconsin. Let's delete this under. Another year, another Graham Mertz breakdown, huh? We're still dealing with Graham freaking Mertz. All right, so bad news for Wisconsin. Towards the back, they're 85th in the country in returning production. They did lose a lot of talent here. Specifically the defense, and that's huge because this was the best defense in the country last year, either them or Oklahoma State, which it was a toss-up. They lost. They're 94th in the country in returning defensive production, so they're losing huge pieces on defense. Now, the defensive coordinator, Jim Leonard, does stay, which is huge because he had a lot of head coaching offers, so Jim Leonard's going to stay. That's big. Now, some good news. The Wisconsin Badgers were number 22 in recruiting this year. So top 25 recruiting class coming in. Now, that really, how much does a recruiting class impact a team right away? It's really more for years in the future, but I put it down as a note. New offensive coordinator for Wisconsin, and I think this is a little interesting. They brought in Bobby Ingram. He has zero play calling experience, but he comes from the NFL. He was a wide receiver coach with Baltimore for 7 years. I thought it was interesting because they're bringing in a wide receiver coach, but they're a run-first offense, and they're bringing in a wide receiver coach from a run-first offense. So, I mean, we'll see how that works out. Wisconsin, obviously a team that's always carried by their run game and their defense. Last year, the Wisconsin Badgers had a 5-straight-year streak snapped of finishing in the top 10 rankings, which is impressive for them. Good program. 5 straight years finishing in the top 10 snapped. Last year they finished number 12. Graham Mertz, I just don't have faith in anymore. That being said, they started demolishing teams last year when they stopped asking Graham Mertz to do anything. They were just like, all right, Graham Mertz, we know you suck. We don't have anything better. Just hand the ball off. And he did. And what do you know? Wisconsin ran the table, won the Big Ten West. Even though they almost got it snaked from them. 1 second. They actually didn't win the Big Ten West. They lost to Minnesota. Whoops. Anyway. But the point is, see, right here, Wisconsin was 1-3 last year. I wish I could show you this. Wisconsin was 1-3 last year. Then they rattled off 7 straight wins. And then before they blew it against Minnesota. But Minnesota, I like. We'll get to there. Yeah, Toast, I was... Nice, Toast. Thank you for the notes. I appreciate that. Toast, I appreciate the help. At least someone in this company cares. Prop Beaver is probably sitting there watching porno. Hold on one second. My screen got messed up. All right. So, let's go to the schedule with the Wisconsin Badgers. Did I get through all my notes? Yeah. Okay, so I shouldn't leave it blank, but I'm going to. So I'm giving them a win in the week 1, September 3rd against Illinois State. I'm going to leave this game against Washington State blank. Yeah, Wisconsin's way better than Washington State, but that's a sneaky team from out west. So I'm going to leave it blank. Maybe could potentially catch Wisconsin napping. I'll give them a win against New Mexico State. A loss against Ohio State. Then a win against Illinois. A win against Northwestern. I'll leave October 15th against Michigan State blank. And then we'll go on to home versus Purdue. We'll give them a win there. Next game, home against Maryland. We'll give them a win there. Next game, on the road at Iowa. Give them a win there. And the last game, we'll leave the rest of them blank. Which means we are at... That means we are at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wins with 1, 2, 3, 4 games remaining. Home versus Washington State, at Michigan State, at Nebraska, home versus Minnesota. Those are the 4 hanger games. If they go 2-2 in those games, that's a push. I think the Washington State game is probably a win. I was just making a point by leaving it blank, saying it's not a game you sleep on, but I'll mark it as a win to get us closer to where we need to be. So now, Michigan State at Nebraska, home versus Minnesota. 1 win out of these 3 remaining games gives us a push. 2 wins gives us a cash. Got to go over with the Wisconsin. I'm not even huge on them. It's just I think they have a very fortunate schedule this year. So I'm going to go over at plus 110 on the Badges. Someone wants me to do MSU next. Okay. All right. Watch out for WSU. Yeah, Toast. I already know Toast like Washington State. All right. Michigan State is next, as per request. Michigan State's one of the harder ones to pick here because their season last year was so weird. All right, so Michigan State returning a decent amount of production, specifically on defense. 23rd in the country. 23rd in the country, returning 79% of their defensive production this year. I know a lot of people are big on the Spartans this year. They went 11-2 last season. That was awesome. Bringing back the exact same leadership. Mel Tucker's still the head coach. Same OC, same DC. Peyton Thorne's still the quarterback, right? The pieces that they lost are obvious. Kenneth Walker's on Seattle, I think. Naylor, Jalen Naylor is somewhere too. So they lost, obviously, their star running back, one of the best running backs in football. And then they lost a pretty clutch receiver in Jalen Naylor. They do have a good receiving core this year. I mean, damn. Jaden Reed and Trey Mosley both returning. That should be a really good 1-2 punch for Michigan State. I think they're set up for Peyton Thorne to have a really good year. And then if they're able to give us anything that resembles the run game they had with Kenneth Walker, they could be a tough team to beat this year. Let's see. On defense, they're bringing back 2 really good inside linebackers. Of course, I didn't write down their names. It's Cal Hanrahan, I think. Cal Hanrahan is one of them. I forgot the other one's name. I'm sorry. But they're 2 really good inside linebackers, 2nd and 3rd on the team in tackles last year. With both of them coming back, the defensive line isn't amazing. It's pretty middle of the pack in the Big Ten. But with those 2 linebackers, they should still be really tough to run the ball on. So let's look at their schedule. I have it right here. Okay. So obviously we're giving them a win against Western Michigan. Even though, chill on Western Michigan. I'm a big Mac guy. Western Michigan was slinging the ball around last year. But let's give Michigan State the win. Yes, they beat Akron. I'm leaving at Washington blank. Because the Huskies, with Michael Penix Jr. out there, I think that team's going to be interesting. I'm not saying Michigan State's going to lose. I'm saying I'm leaving it blank. I'm also leaving Minnesota blank. Shit. At Maryland, I'm leaving that blank too. We'll get back to those, I promise. Let's go right to Ohio State loss, Wisconsin loss, at Michigan loss. There's no way they beat Michigan back-to-back, especially on the road in Ann Arbor. They shouldn't even have beat Michigan last year, to be honest. So there's 3 losses in a row there. I'll give them a win against Illinois. Oh, my God. My Roomba is going right now. Sorry about that. So, yeah, give them the win against Illinois. Give them the win against Rutgers. Give them the win against Indiana. And then I'll leave Penn State blank. So, that leaves 4 games remaining, and we're at 5 wins. So, to get this over, we need to win 3 of these remaining 4 games. I don't know. I'm not seeing it. I think they lose to Minnesota, and I think they lose to Penn State. Honestly. I'm not comfortable taking this over with the minus 130 juice, knowing that I have to win 2 of these 4 games. I mean, 3 of these 4 games. I'm sorry. Knowing that I have to win 3 of these 4 games, I'm not seeing it. Make sure that I say all of my notes here. Wrong page. Yeah. I'm taking the under here with Michigan State, and it breaks my heart because I like Mel Tucker, but I'm going under 7.5. It's nice that it's at plus money and all. This is probably not going to make top anything. And I think anybody can look at this and be like, I see them at 7 wins with a possible 8, making this a tough one to bet. I'm personally going to lean the under for this video's sake, though. All right. Iowa next. I'm sorry. I know this is probably so boring. I'm not good with these podcast type things. I don't like just talking. I like when, like, it's my turn. Like, there's multiple people and then it gets passed to my turn and I could just say my piece and then pass it back. That's what I like doing. Me just talking about myself is really not my style live like this. We did Iowa already. What are you talking about? I already have Iowa done right here. All right, so I'll just pick the next one. Nebraska. This is going to be a fun team, man. People were calling Nebraska, a lot of people, the best 3-9 team in the history of college football last year. Yes, this team finished 3-9. You ready for this? In one-possession games, Nebraska was 0-8. Let that sink in. So this team was 3-9, right? In one-possession games, they were 0-8. So instead of losing, if they just had a simple flip of the luck, instead of losing the one-possession games, they won them. You're looking at an 11-1 team playing in the Big Ten Championship against Michigan. The best 3-9 team in college football history. I like it. I'm rocking with it. Yes, quarterback Adrian Martinez is gone, but no worries because they upgraded in that position. They bring in transfer Casey Thompson from Texas. You probably remember him from last year. He took over. So Hudson Card won the starting job in camp last year for Texas. He lost it. I think it was like the second or third game of the season. Casey Thompson came in. He was electric. Big plays. He can run. He likes to throw it deep. Definitely a fun quarterback to watch. Did make a lot of mistakes. But I think he's an immediate upgrade at the quarterback position for Nebraska. They're also set at running back with Ramir Johnson. The Nebraska offense should motor. They lost their receivers, a couple of them. Austin Allen is with the Giants. And the guy I liked was Samori Toure. He's with the Packers. But honestly, I'm not too worried about that. I think this Nebraska offense is going to be interesting. Regardless, the team is still led by its defense. Nebraska defense was great last year. Top 3, top 4 in the Big Ten. Ready for this? Here, you're bringing these 2 guys back on defense. You have this guy, Raymer. He had 108 tackles last year as a sophomore. He's back. And Henrik had 99 tackles last year as a freshman. Both of those guys are back. It's going to be tough to run the football on the Cornhuskers this year. So let's take a look at their schedule and what we think about Nebraska. First game of the year, they're beating that ass against Northwestern. Yes, they beat North Dakota. Yes, they beat Georgia Southern. I'm leaving Oklahoma blank. If you remember how this team played Oklahoma last year, man, played them tough as played them tough as hell last year. This year the game's home in Lincoln. I think Nebraska can beat Oklahoma this year. All right, but I'm going to leave it blank for now. Next game, home versus Indiana. Yeah, that's a win. At Rutgers, win. So we already have 5 wins off the jump. I think there's a chance they could be 6-0 at this point. At Purdue, I'm going to leave blank. I can't chew gum and talk. I sound like a fucking slob. Like, it's fucking disgusting. All right. So at Purdue, I'm going to leave blank. I'm giving them a win at home against Illinois, obviously. Home versus Minnesota, also leaving blank. I'm going to give them a loss against Michigan, even though I truly think Nebraska can win that game, if I'm being honest. But I'll give them a loss for the video's sake. And I'll give them a loss against Wisconsin. And I'll leave Iowa blank. So here we are. We need to get to 8 wins to cash. We're already at 6. Oklahoma at Purdue versus Minnesota at Iowa. Do you see Nebraska winning 2 of those 4 games? And the answer is yes. I think they beat Iowa for starters. I think they might beat the shit out of Iowa in that last game of the year. So let's give them a win there. Why can't you see it? That's weird. I think they could beat Purdue or Oklahoma, one of those two. I think they'll probably lose to Minnesota. Minnesota kind of plays a similar game to them, and they're better at throwing the ball. So I think they beat Iowa, and they beat Oklahoma, and possibly Purdue. So definitely on the over for Nebraska. It's at an even -110. Will it make my top 10 bets? Probably not, but there's a chance. I like this one. I'll personally be betting this one. All right. Yeah, I could do Penn State next. Yeah, I'm doing them all. All right, let me find Penn State. Penn State. All right. Pull out my notes for Penn State. All right, Penn State, terrible returning production on defense. Returning just 57% of their defensive production. That's 103rd in the country. That's got to be a concern because Penn State's defense was huge for them last year. So this Penn State as a whole, I think this team might be a little better than people think. They had a pretty decent season last year, but they have 4 one-score losses. That loss at Iowa was complete bullshit, and I'm happy it happened because I bet Iowa. I did not deserve that win. Sean Clifford got hurt, and Penn State was up like 19-3 or something when he got hurt, and then it was like the most ridiculous series of events for Penn State to lose that game. Yeah, so even the Michigan game, Penn State had the lead with 5 minutes left. They took the lead with 5 minutes to go. So there was a few spots in Penn State's season last year where their whole outlook could have been completely different if a couple things bounced the other way. If they win the Iowa game and the Michigan game and that stupid 9 overtime game to Illinois they lost, if they win those 3 games, you're looking at a team that's 10-1 heading into the final week of the season. So keep that in mind in Penn State. They were pretty close to being right up there. So the offense should be relatively similar with Sean Clifford coming back. But it's the defense that I'm really worried about. They lose their 2 leading tacklers and their best pass rusher by far. This defense only allowed 17 points a year last year. It's a good defense. It's depressing to see it dismantled. They also lost their defensive coordinator, Brent Pry. Got himself a head coaching job at Virginia Tech. So good for him. Good for Brent over in the ACC now. Manny Diaz takes over as defensive coordinator. I'm not sure how much I like Manny Diaz. I guess we'll see how it works out. But it doesn't matter who the defensive coordinator is. If you lose so much talent, there's only so much they can do, as far as this year goes, at least. So the loss of production, a completely new system. I really don't have much faith in Penn State's defense repeating the season they just had. That's the exact sentence I wrote. So yeah. You're returning Sean Clifford and the offensive coordinator. That's something I like to see. But Sean Clifford, in my opinion, has just peaked. You would think a college quarterback returning back. I feel like we've seen everything this kid can offer. I don't really know if Sean Clifford's going to come out this year and surprise us and all of a sudden become a gunner. I've seen what he can do. He's got an okay arm. He's got good balance, good footwork in the pocket. But overall, he's a solid Big Ten quarterback. I don't know if he has it in him to take the next step forward to all of a sudden start putting Penn State on its back and beating these teams like Wisconsin and Michigan and teams like that. So we'll see. There is a lot of hype around their true freshman, Drew Aller. I don't know much about him. I've just been reading about him. They're bringing in this kid, and apparently he is supposed to be the real deal. And apparently, from what I've read, there's a realistic possibility that he's the starting quarterback by the end of this year. So Sean Clifford, I guess, in a bit of a hot seat here. And they still have Parker Washington coming back on offense. He's a nice, cool little weapon. Kind of reminds me of the way they used to use... he was number 1 on Penn State. He's in the NFL now. Damn it. He's probably like 25. He was probably in Penn State like 2 or 3 years ago. Forget his name. He's in the NFL. He's not like a superstar or anything, but they kind of use Parker Washington the same way. He can line up in the slot. He can line up on the edge. He can carry the ball, too. He kind of does it all. And I forget that receiver's name. So let's look at Penn State's schedule and see what we got here. So, Penn State. Yeah, we're going to leave Purdue blank. They scheduled a badass week 1 game September 1st on Thursday. That's a dope football game. I can't wait for that. They're going to beat the Bobcats, even though I hate to hate on the MAC. I'm a big MAC fan. But yeah, Penn State will beat the Bobcats at home. Auburn, week 3, got to leave that blank as well. They'll beat Central Michigan. They'll beat Northwestern. They will lose to Michigan. You got to give them a loss at Michigan. Got to give Michigan some love. Let me shrink this a little bit. Okay. So they'll lose to Michigan. I'm leaving Minnesota blank, but I think they lose to Minnesota as well. I think Minnesota's going to be very good. They lose to Ohio State. At Indiana. They'll be... Don't worry. Don't worry, Nittany Lions. You can get a dub against Indiana. Home versus Maryland, they probably win. I'll leave it blank, though, so we can take a look at where we're at. They'll beat Rutgers. And home against Michigan State. I think they could win that game. So, you know what? I'm going to give them a win. No, I'll leave it blank. See where we're at first. So, we're at 5 wins for Penn State, and we have at Purdue, at Auburn, home versus Minnesota, home versus Maryland, home versus Michigan State. Wow. 5 games to decipher here. The hard part is to hit our over, Penn State needs to win 4 of them. So, if you see 2 losses... in these remaining games, if you see 2 losses, that's an under for Penn State. They need to win 4 of these remaining games. I think they could lose to Purdue. I think they could lose to Auburn. I think they lose to Minnesota. I think they beat Maryland. You know what? Let's give them a win home against Maryland. But that offense is going to be crazy. But let's give them a win home against Maryland. So they need to win 3 of these remaining 4 games. And I'm not seeing it. I think they maybe go 2-2 in them. Maybe. I probably have Penn State at 7-8 win ceiling. So, Penn State will be an under at minus 125. All right. KJ Hamler, thank you. Brubaker Jr., thank you. KJ Hamler, I just opened up the comments. Yup. That's the guy I was thinking of. Yo, you think you beat... I disagree, Ronald Cheatham. I truly think Minnesota is going to be a monster of a team this year. I agree. You beat Maryland, though. All right. Where do we want to go next? Yo. Yo. What did the Mets just do? I don't have the Mets game on. Someone said, oh my God, Mets. Sorry. They're down 5-0. Oh, they were down 3 runs earlier too. God damn baseball. Oh, Astros are winning. That's good. I don't want to look at this. Why'd I look at this? I don't want to look at this. All right, so next team. What teams are left? Iowa, I did. Wisconsin, I did. Nebraska, I did. Purdue, I did. Northwestern, I did. Any other team? We got. There's still a few left here. All right, I'm just gonna pick one. Let's go with Rutgers, repping New Jersey. All right, Scarlet Knights here. Jeez, I don't have much hope for Rutgers. So Rutgers loses a lot of their production on defense. 61% of their, only 61% returning production on defense. That's 90th in the country. I mean, let's sum up Rutgers' season last year. They had 5 passing touchdowns and 8 interceptions as a team in conference play. And we're most likely going to see Vedral back at quarterback. Sean Gleason's still the OC. And obviously, Shiano's still the head coach. I don't know what we're expecting to change here with the Rutgers, specifically on offense. If we're coming back with the same exact... especially when we lost... The best player on Rutgers' offense was Isaiah Pacheco. I don't know if his name's Isaiah, by the way. It's Isiah. It's Pacheco. He was their best offensive player. He's on the Chiefs now. He's gone. I don't have much hope for this Rutgers team. Let's take a look at their schedule. I don't know. We're at 4 wins here. Somebody tell me where these 4 wins are coming from. I think they lose week 1 to Boston College. Seriously. Yeah, they'll beat Wagner. At Temple is not even a gimme here. Yeah, they beat the shit out of Temple last year, but that was in Piscataway. I'm leaving Temple blank. I honestly think that... No, wait, let's give them a win against Temple. I'll give them a win, but honestly, I don't even think that's a guaranteed win. Loss at Iowa, loss versus Iowa, loss at Ohio State, loss versus Nebraska. So we're out here. We'll leave home versus Indiana blank. That's winnable. Then a loss versus Minnesota, loss versus Michigan, loss at Michigan State, loss at versus Penn State. And yeah, I'm going to give them a loss at Maryland as well. So, as you can see, without even including the Indiana game, there's no chance this team hits 4 wins. What win are you seeing in there that could be their 4th? Let's say I give them the win versus Indiana. Let's just give it to them. I don't even know if they definitely win that game, but let's say I give it to them. They win against Atlanta. Which of these losses do you have posted? Do you see Rutgers winning? Maybe home versus Penn State, they catch them slipping. Maybe home versus Iowa. I don't know. At 4 wins, I have to go under here, and the fact that I'm getting it at plus money, even better. Gotta go under here for the Scarlet Knights. All right. Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's in the ACC. Temple's in the AAC. Toast. No, what I have left is Minnesota, Michigan, Indiana. That's it. Minnesota, Michigan, Indiana. So we'll start with Minnesota. All right. Minnesota. I like this team a lot. Listen up for these notes. So Tanner Morgan back he's a sixth-year senior. And I think the question on all our minds is, will the 2019 Tanner Morgan return? Because dude was a beast in 2019. He had Rashad Bateman and Tyler Johnson at receiver. That team threw the ball everywhere. This is what I like about Minnesota. So their offensive coordinator, Kirk Sriracha. Actually, it's Chishiraka. Whatever. He was there with the team in 2019. That was the offensive coordinator for the team when they lit the scoreboards up in 2019, when Tanner Morgan threw for like 4,000 yards or whatever the hell it was. He left after that season. He got a job with Penn State, but now he's back. So that same offensive coordinator that had Tanner Morgan throwing the ball downfield is now back. And Tanner Morgan's like a 23-year-old man out there. I think he's really going to put together some explosive plays. And that was Minnesota's weakness last season, was their lack of explosive plays. Their offense on an efficiency rate, their offense as far as efficiency goes, was awesome. But they just lacked those big plays, the deep ball. Now they're bringing back the OC that was there when Tanner Morgan was throwing the deep ball. So I think if you add on this newly found badass Minnesota rushing attack, Mohamed Ibrahim should be back for the start of the season. This dude is a Brinks truck. He runs with a lot of power. Absolute monster. In 2018, this dude had 1,160 yards and 9 touchdowns, Mohamed Ibrahim. In 2020, 1,076 and 15 touchdowns. He rushed for 15 touchdowns in 2020. He's back. He was dealing with injuries last year. All of their wide receivers are back. I think this might be the most complete team in the Big Ten West. Yes, including Wisconsin. So let's pull up their schedule. I really think that this offense is going to be good. Their defense was pretty good last year. And, oh shit, sorry. 1 second. Their defense was pretty good last year. And they lose 41% of their production, which isn't great. But I think their offense is truly going to be awesome. So, yeah, they win against New Mexico State. Yes, they beat Western Illinois and Colorado. Let's give them wins there. We'll leave Michigan State blank, especially because it's on the road. We'll leave Purdue blank, too, even though I think they win that game. They win at Illinois. Penn State will leave blank. They win at Rutgers. Nebraska will leave blank. They win at Northwestern. They win at home against Iowa, and will leave Wisconsin blank. So, that's 7 wins right there, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games remaining. They go 2-3 in those 5 games. Oh no, they're 1-4 in those 5 games, and it cashes. This is my favorite over in the Big Ten, probably. All over the over here. I don't care if it's at minus 125. I love it. Love Minnesota this year. The Gophers always seem to be good. PJ Fleck, probably a top 10 coach in the country that doesn't get the credit he deserves. Yeah, over wins for sure. Yeah, Ronald, I see you. I would love to do more, but this takes a lot of prep work, and there's only 42 people watching right now, so I don't know the motivation to just keep it rolling. I'd rather just do the and his name, it sounds like, I think it's pronounced Chiracha. It's with a C, not an S, by the way. All right, Minnesota's done, which brings us, Michigan's next. Let's do Michigan. Surprised no one asked for the Wolverines. They're fan favorite. All right, Michigan. A lot of returning production on offense for the Wolverines. 87% of their production on offense returning. That's awesome. Great for Michigan. Problem is, their offense didn't win them many football games. It was their defense. Their defense was insane last year. Michigan returns just 43% of its defensive production. That's 124th in the country. 124 out of 130 college football teams. That's where Michigan ranks as far as returning defensive production. So this elite Aiden Hutchinson lights out defense, it's gone. It has moved to the NFL. It is gone. Cade McNamara is back. How much do we even like that? I don't really think Cade McNamara is that great. One thing I will give him, he doesn't turn the ball over, and he wins. He wins. The kid does win. Maybe it's on account that he doesn't turn the ball over. It kind of reminds me of a Ryan Tannehill type. Just like finds a way to win the game. They do have a kid named J.J. McCarthy. He's a redshirt freshman. The chances of him starting this year, any games this year, slim to none. Michigan should fare just fine, so they're not going to make a quarterback switch. But that's a kid to keep your eye on. Ronnie Bell is back a receiver. I forgot about Ronnie Bell because he was injured all of last year, got hurt week 1 of last season. He's back. Nice to see what he's going to be able to do as a senior. He was set up to be the guy last year. He got hurt first game of the season, like I said, against Western Michigan. And in that game, before he got hurt, he had 1 catch for 76 yards and a touchdown. So he's back for the full season, should be ready to go. The main guy in their offense, in my opinion, is Blake Corum, though. In case you didn't watch Michigan last year, he's kind of like the explosive back, like third down back kind of a thing. He is going to get way more touches than third down back, though, as he should. He kind of reminds me of like a Darren Sproles, Tony Pollard type. Just a home run hitting playmaker out of the backfield. Hassan Haskins is gone. He's a Tennessee Titan now. So Blake Corum should, if there was a college football fantasy, if there was a fantasy football for college, Blake Corum would be a good pick this year. He should get 1 million touches. Here's where it gets depressing. Only 3 returning starters on defense. There are 4 leading tacklers for Michigan. Gone. 4 leading tacklers. This team was carried by this defense, and they're just gone. Michigan recorded 34 sacks as a team last year. 25 of them came from Aiden Hutchinson and David Ojabo. They play for the Lions and the Ravens now. Gone. The point being, this Michigan Wolverine defense has been completely gutted. So let's take a look at the schedule. They have this total all the way up at 9.5. Let's see what we got here. Home versus Colorado State, win. Home versus Hawaii, win. Home versus UConn, win. Home versus Maryland, win. Let's start them off right there. 4-0 for the Wolverines. At Iowa, let's give them a win. At Indiana, win. Home versus Penn State, probably a win. But I'll leave the Penn State and Michigan State game blank. At Rutgers, win. Home versus Nebraska, I'm leaving blank. At Nebraska, win. At Ohio State, sorry. That is not a win. That is a loss. There's no way this team beats Ohio State 2 years in a row. No way. So there. That's where we're at Michigan right now with 1, 2, 3 question mark games. Now, they need to get to 10 wins to hit it. That's where it gets interesting because we're at 8. They need to win 2 out of these 3 games. Oh, man, that's tough. I think they probably do win 2 out of these 3 games and go 10-2. Fuck. Let's see what I wrote down in my notes. What I did was I wrote down them all under my notes, but then I'm like redoing them together with you live. I wrote down under for plus money. Yeah, okay, so what I wrote down in my notes was this Iowa game on October 1st. So I left this blank too. This is what I did with my notes. I left that blank too, and I have 4 hanger games at Iowa, Penn State, Michigan State, and Nebraska, and I said they need to win 3 of those 4. So yeah, I'll do it. I'll take the under on here. I'm not crazy about it. This will not be in my top future bets at all. Take the under at plus money, though. Here we go for Michigan. All right. Yeah, I already did Michigan State. Anyway, now I believe there's only one team left, and it's Indiana. So let's do the Hoosiers and call it a night. This one's quick. Michael Penix Jr. gone from this team. What is even left in Indiana? Michael Penix Jr. is in Washington, and although he's coming off an awful year, I've seen that kid make some plays. He's been the starting quarterback in Indiana for like 4 years, 3.5 years now. I'm excited to see what he does in the Big 12, personally. Get out of that Big 10 West where there's... Big 10, he's in the Big 10 East. Get out of the Big 10 where the defenses are just insane. I'm pumped to watch him out there. As far as what Indiana's left with, Jack Tuttle is still listed as a starting quarterback. You remember him from last year. He started like 5 games. But I believe Connor Bazelak is going to be the starting quarterback. He's a transfer from Missouri. And honestly, anything's better than Jack Tuttle. He was terrible in Michael Penix's absence. I'm not really sure what to make of that. Connor Bazelak, I remember watching him in a couple games for Missouri. I believe he started the game against South Carolina last year with them. But the thing is, I don't know where to rank that as far as, okay, here's Michael Penix, here's Connor Penix, here's Connor Bazelak. Is that a drop-off? Because over the course of his career, Penix was nice. I keep saying Penix. Penix was nice, but he's coming off a terrible year. So, I don't know. I guess let's say it's an upgrade from last year, I guess. Indiana's offense was dead last in the Big Ten last year. They averaged just 3.9 yards a play on the season in conference play. And also their defense fell off. Their defense started off the season nice last year. In their last 6 football games, they went 0-6, allowing 39.7 points a game. So just completely fell off. All right, let's take a look at their schedule and finish this up. You can already tell by the way I'm talking, I'm on the under. I'm leaving the Illinois game blank because I think they could lose it. We'll give them a win on Idaho. Western Kentucky, this is not a toss-up. That kid at Western Kentucky threw 62 touchdowns last year. Western Kentucky slings the ball, man. And they had the same matchup last year, Indiana versus Western Kentucky, and Indiana barely squeaked it out. It was 33-31. So I'm leaving that blank. Let's say loss at Cincinnati, loss at Nebraska, loss versus Michigan, loss versus Maryland. You know what? Home versus Maryland. Let's leave that blank. Just be fair to the Hoosiers, but they're going to lose. At Rutgers, I think that's a winnable game, but we'll leave it blank. Home versus Penn State, loss. At Ohio State, loss. At Michigan State, loss. Home versus Purdue, we'll leave it blank. Which brings us here. Someone mind explaining to me how we plan on getting to 4 wins here? Hold on one sec. I thought this was 4.5 wins, Indiana. No, it's 4. Okay, I thought I might have wrote it down wrong. How are we getting to 4 wins here? Yeah, they beat Indiana. Maybe Western Kentucky. They'll probably lose to Maryland. So, I mean, they'll beat Illinois, not Indiana, duh. They'll probably lose to Maryland, so let's give them a loss to Maryland, because I truly think they lose that game. You want to give them the win for argument's sake against Illinois? I don't even know if they beat Illinois. I think Illinois beats them. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. They probably lose to Purdue, too. Yeah, under. Push at best. Definitely. If they find a way to go to Rutgers and beat them, beat Western Kentucky at home, and hold off Illinois, which honestly I think Illinois beats them. So let's just say under. Plus money. This team sucks. There we go. All right. And that is it. We went through them all. All right. Oh my God, we didn't do Illinois. We didn't do Illinois. One last one. I'm sorry. I'll go through it fast because I know we've been on here for a while. This is my first time doing a video like this, so I wasn't sure how to gauge. I promise I'll rip through it. I think the Illinois team was better last year than they got credit for. They finished 5-7 on the year, but they actually went 7-4 against the spread, which is nice. Obviously, that's what we like to see on a betting channel. Here's the bad news for Illinois: 122nd in the country in returning production. Yeah, 122 out of 130. That's who they're bringing back this year. That's depressing. Because the numbers were already bad. The offense was awful. 109th in yards per play. Their defense, the Illinois defense deserves some credit because they were actually solid last year. That's what kept them in a lot of games, led them to that Penn State 9 overtime game. Looks like Tommy DeVito is going to be the starting quarterback. He transferred from Syracuse. I would like to see Sikowski get another shot, to be honest. I know that he hasn't had a ton of success, but before he got hurt, Illinois was 2-3, and their wins were at Penn State and Nebraska. So last year, it's like this kid got hurt before he really got a shot. I would like to see Sikowski as the day one starter, but it looks like Tommy DeVito might be the guy. You know what? I wrote this like a week ago. Let's see if they updated anything on their depth chart. Tommy DeVito still listed as a starter. That's some bullshit if you ask me. But anyway, so let's go to their schedule and finish this video up. I'm sorry, I know it was boring. Home against Wyoming will give them a win. At Indiana, we will leave blank. Home versus Virginia is a loss. Brennan Armstrong's back for Virginia. Virginia should be nice. They beat Chattanooga. Then they lose to Wisconsin. Lose to Iowa. Home versus Iowa will leave. Lose versus Minnesota. Lose at Nebraska. Lose to Michigan State. We'll leave Purdue blank, but I think they lose that as well. Lose to Michigan, and then probably they beat Northwestern. Yeah, I think in the other video I said they would beat in the Northwestern part, so let's be fair. All right, so 4.5 wins with home versus Purdue, home versus Iowa, at Indiana. I don't think so. I think they lose Iowa and Purdue, but Iowa should be shaky, and Illinois is such an upset team that no. They lose to Iowa and they lose to Purdue. I think they could beat Indiana, but that's it. I'm giving them the under. See what I wrote down in my notes. See if I did the same. Yep, under. I took the under in my notes as well. All right. Under at minus 120. And that is the end of the video. Remember, on the Sauce Network app, I'll be giving out my top 10 future bets. That'll be on September 1st. I'm doing the NFL one. So this one will be on August 24th. So on August 24th, I'll post. You'll see the top 10 future bets. And I think that's when you should place them, around August 24th. So if you have the Sauce Network app downloaded on your phone, your phone will buzz when I post those. September 1st for the NFL top 10. August 21st for the college football top 10. College football might turn into top 15 because there's so many. Not many people watch this, so I don't know if I'm going to do this again. We'll see. We'll see how many people watch it over the next couple days, but whatever. All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and have a great night. They'll be back with the MLB show tomorrow. Let's look at it. It's Tuesday, so who knows what time. Let's say 2 p.m. tomorrow, probably. We'll see. I'll let you know on Twitter. All right. Have a good night. Later.